The Middle East is the heartland of Islam. Now, the Middle East is not coextensive with Islam. Most of Muslims live outside the Middle East. Today, only about 1/5, even less than 1/5 of the Muslims of the world live in the Middle East. But the Middle East is important, very important for a number of reasons. First of all, this is the place where Islam took its rise. Arabia, today called Saudi Arabia. This is the place where Muhammad was born. Mecca, moved to Medina, then conquered Mecca, then the entire Arabian peninsula came under Muslim rule. This is the place where the Kaaba is. This is the place to which all Muslims all over the world turn for prayers and where they go for the pilgrimage. So this is the spiritual center of the Muslim world. And Arabia in particular, but the Middle East in general, has had a determining influence on the history and politics, etc., of the larger Muslim world. You can say this is the most happening region in Islamic history, although it is not the entire Muslim world. All the formative events in Islamic history took place in this region. After Muhammad's death, we have what's known as rightly guided caliphate. This is a translation of the Arabic word Rashida, Khilafat Rashida, or Khulafa Rashidun. Those four caliphs, that is Abu Bakr, you don't need to write the names, easily available. I'm just trying to put things in a certain order or sequence. Abu Bakr, Muhammad's trusted companion, then Umar, the architect of the Muslim state, then Osman, and then Ali, who holds a special position in Shiite Islam and in Sufism also. So these are known as rightly guided caliphs, not because during their rule everything was hunky-dory from an Islamic standpoint, but because in spite of all problems, there was civil strife, there were other issues, but in spite of all these problems, the basic orientation of the Islamic State was genuinely Islamic. The rulers cared about the religion and they tried to govern in accordance with the principles of Islamic government and rulership. That is why Muslims today look back to rightly guided caliphate, and most reform movements in Islam say, well, we should take that period of Muslim caliphs as our model. So Abu Bakr, Umar, Osman, Ali, they are regarded as rightly guided caliphs by the majority of Muslims, by which I mean Sunnis, Shiites, except Ali, but not the other three. Then this was followed by the Umayyad dynasty, and then the Abbasid dynasty, which came to an end in the year 1258 when the Mongol invasion took place. The Umayyad dynasty was Arab, whereas in Abbasid dynasty, the Persians had a very strong role and influence. Parts of the period of the Abbasid dynasty is regarded as the golden age of Islam, in that during this period, the main schools of law, as I'll point out, developed, and science and philosophy, other disciplines developed also. It was in the Middle East then that the main seats of government were located. Medina, where Muhammad lived, then Damascus, then Baghdad. And Baghdad was the place where the Mongol invasion took place and they destroyed the seat of government. The Middle East has supplied a paradigm of racial diversity. That is, Islam started out as an Arab religion, if you speak in racial terms, although ideologically Islam never set much store by race. But the fact is that people who first embraced Islam were Arabs, and they brought, you can say, an Arabian outlook, Arabian culture, Arabian temperament, Arabian disposition with them. But then come the Persians in the wake of the Arabs, and interaction takes place between the two, and values, mores, practices change. Then come in the Turks. In the Middle East, again, were many of the centers of learning, again, Medina, Basra, Damascus, Cairo, Baghdad. It's the home of three languages, Arabic, Persian, and Turkish. And of course, Arabic is the lingua franca of Islamic religion. All the primary texts of Islam are in the Arabic language. Although not all Muslims across the length and breadth of the Islamic world speak Arabic as their first language, but Arabic is the language of the Islamic scripture. And so there always has been a class of scholars in every Muslim society that has made sure that they cultivate the Arabic language and study the Quran and the primary texts of Islam. And these people have supplied official ulama or religious scholars who provide religious legal guidance to the community. So, as if you want to become a religious scholar, you have to learn Arabic. And even if you are a Persian, you would know your native language Persian. You would write in that language also religious works, legal works, etc. But you have to know Arabic. And if you are from Turkish origin, then you have to know Arabic once again. If you are from India, you know Urdu, and in most cases you know Persian also. But you have to know Arabic once again. So Arabic then binds the worldwide Muslim community from a religious, cultural, legal standpoint. This is the region where most of the architectural monuments, I shouldn't say most, many significant monuments are found, especially from early times. Later times, of course, these monuments were erected in other parts of the Muslim world also, but you have them in the Middle East. Schools of law, Hanafi, Maliki, Shafi, Hanbali, and Ja'fari. Ja'fari school is the Shiite school. The 12-ver Shiite school is called Ja'fari school. That's because he is the sixth imam in a series of 12 imams. And so the 12-ver Shiites, I say 12-ver because there are three main branches, as I'll point out in a moment, and Ja'fari school is one of those three. Once again, the Middle East is the place where major sectarian developments took place, Sunnism and Shiism. And I say branches because there is a 12-ver Shiism which believes in a series of 12 imams, of which the sixth is Ja'far, and therefore Ja'fari school. And there is a 7er Shiism who believe in a series of 7 imams, and there is a 5er Shiism who believe in a series of 5 imams. The largest, of course, is the 12er, and that's the one that you have in Iran and in the southern part of Iraq. Most Shiites are 12er Shiites. Once again, the growth of mysticism. You remember Rabia of Basra. Rabia, the great woman saint, lived in Basra, died 801. Other schools, Junayd, we mentioned intellectual Sufism, we mentioned Ibn Arabi also, who was in Muslim Spain but came over to the Islamic East. Then theological schools, they all take their rise in the Middle East. Likewise, philosophy, science, and most of the seminal figures in Islamic literature, Islamic religion, Islamic philosophy, Islamic science, although Muslim Spain has made great contributions in those regards also, but once again, it's the Middle East that takes the cake. The Middle East also was the base of operations for the expansion of Islam into North Africa, and then further on Spain, and then India. This is the region once again where large-scale political, and cultural interaction with other communities takes place. Crusades take place in the Middle East. Translation movement, that is to say, under the Abbasids, works from Greek were rendered into Arabic with the help of Christian scholars who knew both Greek and Aramaic in some cases, and also Arabic. So they were ideal interfaces between the Greek language and the Arabic language. So thanks to this translation movement, as a result of which large-scale translations were made, Greek thinkers, Greek philosophy, Greek medicine, Greek science, all these works were rendered into Arabic, and then from there they were passed to other regions of the Muslim world. So Muslims then, in a way, can be called heirs to the Byzantine, Christian, and Persian cultural legacy.